Hey, good morning. We're on lesson 14.4, measurement data. So I mentioned in 14.3 and 14.4 are some of the most difficult lessons. Um, I'm going to show you some shortcuts. And honestly, if you have a harder time on the digital quick check today, I'm not going to hold it against you. Just because when we do these in class normally, they take up a whole page to do the work for them. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what you can do to be successful in this lesson. So I am looking at page 334 in the book, guided practice number 1. So you're going to be looking at a chart to make a frequency table. So what I did is I jumped ahead and I wrote a frequency table right here. You're going to have salt and the number of containers for this chart that's located on there. So there's 4 different values that have an X on the line plot, and they are 1 3/8, 4 1/8, 6.5, and 7. So you're going to have to read between the lines and read a number line to do it. I wrote the answers on there except for 6.5, which I'll add in a minute. So I'm going to pause and show you how I put this on the frequency table. Okay, so on the frequency table, I wrote down the measurements which have a value, which are 1 3/8, 4 1/8, 6.5, and 7. So there's 7 X's for 1 3/8, 2 for 4 1/8, 3 for 6.5, and 7 for 5. So that's not the most difficult part of the lesson. I know that you guys can read number lines. You can find how there's 1 3/8. I'm going to give a little mini lesson on that later. 4 1/8, and also 6.5 and 7. The hard part's going to be when you get to problems like number 2. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm actually going to be blending number 2 and 3 together on guided practice. Okay, so you're going to be finding the total grams of this salt. So what you would do is you do 1 3/8 times 7, 4 1/8 times 2, 6.5 times 3, and then 7 times 5. So obviously we all know 7 times 5, which is 35. Okay, and I'm going to pause here for a minute as I do the calculations for the fractions. I highly recommend that you go on Splash Learn and practice multiplying mixed numbers. That's going to help you remember how to do this skill. I always spend a lot of time reviewing the skill in class when we're on this lesson. Okay, remember I try to keep these videos about 5 minutes. So what I did is I calculated all these out. I took some time and actually had to show some of the work. Now, when you add all of these mixed numbers, you have to have a common denominator. So a couple of them came out of eighths and one of them came out of half. So I moved 1/2 to 19 4/8. So what you do is you add all these up. So 5/8 plus 2/8 is 7/8. 7/8 plus 4/8 is 11/8. Then you add all these up. 9 plus 8 is 17. 29, 36, you get 71 and 11/8. Now, if you remember correctly, you can't leave something as an improper fraction, 11/8. So I'm going to pull out 8 out of 8. And my final answer is going to be 72 and 3/8 grams of salt. Now, like I said earlier, one of the most difficult lessons, I really went fast through some difficult steps that we would need to review, okay? So the key is reading off a chart, writing a frequency table, double checking your calculations, and you should be just fine, okay? So the total amount is 72 and 3/8 grams. That's for number 2. So I quickly wrote down the answer for number 3. This is the equation for what I did in 1 and 2. 1 3/8 times 7 plus 4 1/8 times 2 plus 6.5 times 3 plus 7 times 5 equals 72 and 3/8 grams. That's the equation for that problem. Okay, I'm going to briefly go over how to multiply a mixed number by a fraction. Remember, you do times and plus. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 3 is 11/8 times 7/1. I make that 7/1 equals 77/8. 8 times 9 is 72, which gives me a remainder of 5. So I'd have 9 and 5/8. That's what I would get when I would add all that up. Okay, good luck with the lesson. This will be a difficult one. Do your best with it. Okay, have a great day. Bye. this is how the division